Keith J. Stevens.
It was the beginning of the Great Depression. The economic optimism of the 20s was over. Millions lost their job. Those that had work earned less than $2,000 a year. With the age of prosperity of the 20s came a building boom. By 1929, despite the stock market crash on October 24th, New York City real estate developers were in competition to build the world's tallest building. It was called the Race for the Sky. One man in particular was determined to win the race. His name was John J. Raskob. Along with several other wealthy investors, he formed Empire State Incorporated. Al Smith, former governor of New York, was appointed president of the company. The new building was to be built on the west side of Fifth Avenue between West 33rd and 34th Streets, the site of the former Waldorf Astoria Hotel. Architect William F. Lamb was hired to design it, to whom Raskob had one simple question. "Bill, how high can you make it so it won't fall down?" By the time the Art Deco design was finalized in January 1930, it had gone through 15 changes. Contractors Starrett Brothers and Eakin were hired, and demolition of the hotel began October 1st, 1929. But even before demolition was complete, excavation for the new building began January 22nd. Laborers worked around the clock in 12-hour shifts to dig the 55-foot deep foundation. Construction began March 17th with the first steel columns being placed on the completed footings. The first steel framework was installed on April 1st. The framework was manufactured in Pittsburgh and transported to New York City by train, barge, and truck. Milled to within 1/8 inch tolerance, the pieces were hoisted into place by derrick as soon as they arrived on site, still warm to the touch. It took 60,000 tons of steel, 200,000 cubic feet of limestone and granite, 10 million bricks, and 730 tons of aluminum and stainless steel. With the staggering amount of materials needed, every step of the construction process was designed for efficiency. Tracks were laid on every floor so workers could distribute materials using small rail cars. So workers didn't have to descend to the ground level to eat lunch. Cafes and concession stands were placed on 5 of the incomplete floors, as well as temporary water taps. The building rose almost a story a day, averaging 4.5 stories a week. And in one 10-day period, 14 floors were erected. Almost 3,500 workers in over 60 different trades, working every day, including Sundays and holidays, earning upwards of $15 a day, completed the building in 410 days on April 11, 1931, 12 days ahead of schedule. The hours were long, and the work was dangerous. It was a time before hard hats and safety nets. But despite the lack of modern safety standards, only 5 workers died during construction. Attended by over 350 guests, opening ceremonies were held on May 1, 1931. President Herbert Hoover pressed a button in the White House that turned on the building's lights for the first time, 45 days ahead of schedule. With 102 floors, the first building with more than 100, it stands 1,250 feet. When it opened, it was the tallest building in the world. It would hold that title for almost 40 years. The Empire State Building cost $41 million to build, which included demolition of the Waldorf Astoria Hotel. When it opened, it was less than 25% occupied. Critics referred to it as the empty state building. It would take 2 decades before the owners saw a profit.